Okay, it's March 19th, and I'm continuing the documentation of the state in which my kitchen was left by David. We've not spoken in, I don't know, a week or possibly even 2 weeks. He refuses to respond to me, even though I threatened to sue him. I did file a complaint with the Better Business Bureau. And so, they started work at the beginning of November, and, here it is, March 19th. I'm still living with kitchen stuff and boxes and things that I can't put away in my dining room because the work's not done, and I can't move really fully back into the kitchen because the floor is still messed up, which I'll show you here in a few minutes. And so I anything I move into the kitchen is just going to get all dusty and dirty again for the third time. So to start issues with the dining room, you can see the transition is incomplete. It's just not stained and varnished. I'm actually disappointed that the floor is raised, but I guess there was some reason that had to be. And I told David that his workers could not come back to complete this job. He actually, so weeks ago, promised me they would finish it over a Friday and Saturday. I think it was the weekend of February 11th, and they didn't come and work, which has been a common issue. Part of the reason that I fired them. They don't show up when they say they're going to. Their quality of work is poor. And so they didn't come and finish this. And David agreed that if they didn't finish that weekend, that we would discuss an exit strategy. He's promised to refund me $5,000, which I actually don't believe is enough to repair all the damage. But he refuses to speak to me, and he has not dropped off this check. So one of the problems is this transition where they removed this wall, and you can see how they left this here. And this is a result of the fact that you can see this wood here is actually, even though they incorporated it when they took out the wall, they incorporated this into the wall with spackle. This piece of wood is not actually part of the wall. It's actually some ugly cedar trim that was put up that should have been removed instead of made part of the wall. It presented a problem. I mean, it probably would have been okay the way that they did it, except that up here, when I restore the trim at the ceiling, I would have had this piece of cedar, rough cedar, let's see if I can, sticking out at the top that wouldn't have, blended into the room. So that was an issue I asked them to fix, and you see how they've left it. You can also hopefully see how they never restored where they took the wall out. So, and I'm not sure how well you'll be able to see it, on the video, but all of that, they have not retextured this part. So there's texture over here, and don't get me wrong, I mean, it's poor texture, but nonetheless, I think they need to, match this or retexture the whole wall, whatever. But yeah, they've left it like that. You can see here another hole in the trim that is not covered up. I'm assuming this wood filler will be okay. I don't know. So then if we come around the corner, you can see here, this is trim that they installed improperly. You can see how that doesn't line up. Just see how everything is rough and dinged up. And I mean, I paid $50,000 for this kitchen. You see this along the edge? And it looks like it looks so rough. So this is there was a seam between this piece of wood and the wall that I really just wanted them to close up the seam, but they put in this trim, which I actually did agree to initially, but now you see how that looks. It looks terrible. And I don't know if you can see here that the gray paint is actually coming out onto the trim, and you can maybe see also problems with the paint, how it's just not finished properly. You can see their nail holes that were not filled properly. Essentially all the finish work is just, it's sloppy. And you know, paint, sloppy paint, the caulk is all bumpy and gross. Like, I'm not gonna be able to keep that clean. You can see in the corner how they left all this stuff. So I'm gonna try to show you everything around the whole room, but it's obviously gonna take forever because there's so many problems. So just sloppy trim, paint on the trim, all over the place. I don't know if you can see the seam along the ceiling. I don't know if that's the actual paint that's making that texture, or if it's the spackle, like it wasn't sanded properly. I'm not really sure, but this is a lot of work. There's that hole they left on the thing. And then this door, all of this is brand new. All this trim is new, and I don't know if you can see how this looks right here, all bumpy and just messy. I mean, this does not look like a brand new $50,000 kitchen. You can see the paint around that hinge and, you know, sloppiness here that, you know, I mean, at this stage, how did people fix it without making it worse? You can see in that crack how this is a brand new piece of trim that it's all beat up. Again, just sloppiness along the floor line. I don't know what's going on there with that. Oh, and this is that door where they left the cedar again, and I forgot to show you how they left this edge of the trim. So I guess that's in another hole that wasn't filled properly.